Hello and welcome back to Fun Facts.
Today we're going to take a dip in the pool of knowledge that is Victorian era drugs and poisons, Victorian era medicines.
In a world with facts that are possibly entertaining, we bring you today's episode of Fun Facts.
Similar to the days of the Old West, it was cramped, disease was rampant, everything you touched was made of poison, there was very little chance of survival, and going to the doctor did not mean it would help at all. Okay, so quick side note here. Could probably make a whole nother video about this, but most of the time you wouldn't even see a doctor, you would see a physician, and they would just write you a prescription for whatever they thought would work. Next came the surgeons, and they had to do their job quick. Now you did have things to numb the area, cocaine, opium, things like that, but you would still be awake, so the quicker they get done, the better. Now medical schools weren't really a thing back then, and if you wanted to learn what's inside a body, you would either have to go steal one, grave rob, or pay someone to do it for you. Starting off with the most uncomfortable of all information that I've read lately. Now the most common diagnosis back in the day in the Victorian era, it was actually for hysteria, which was common for women. I think it was only to women. Things prescribed for that would be laudanum, which was a mix of opium, herbs, and alcohol. It was very strong. It was like 45% alcohol. Other things would be hypnosis and also pelvic massage. I'm not going to go into that one. Don't look it up either. Continuing this uncomfortable trend, if you still happen to be a lady in that time and you were going through your time of the month, they would give you tampons dipped in opium. That'll take care of those cramps right away. Not sure if you'd be able to walk after that. Another very unwarranted thought back then was the thoughts of humors. There was red, yellow, brown, and black. Red was blood, yellow was stomach bile, brown I'm sure was feces, not sure what black was. So they would have to level out these humors when you were feeling sick. So they had leeches for bloodletting. For the yellow bile or stomach bile, they had the everlasting pill. It was a small metal, now known to be toxic, pill that they would take, and it would induce severe vomiting and everything. And then you would just poop it out, sift through all of that, get it ready, clean it off, and it's good to go again. In 1854, there was a cholera outbreak because everybody had believed that diseases were passed through miasmas or like poisonous air just kind of floating around, while one man, Dr. John Snow, actually showed people it was contaminated water from a pump in Soho that was getting them all sick. The government soon, cleaned all that up and everything, but... Okay, another side note here. The miasma theory is actually what sparked that plague doctor's mask with the whole beak and everything. It had two glass eyes that they would look through, and then that beak they would actually stick things in like flowers, roses, eucalyptus, and peppermints to keep the smell or the aroma of the plague away. Also, they would be coated in waxed leather from about head to toe, so that would actually help them, keeping the fleas off of them that were traveling on the rats actually passing the plague back then. Now, if you just happen to be anybody back then with a toothache, unlucky you. The options are get it pulled with some pliers or go get some cocaine toothache drops. And I guess just take those till it falls out itself. Problem solved. Cocaine obviously being the main factor used in there for numbing would also be given to kids as a powder for teething as well. Just in case the kids felt left out, don't worry. We got more for them as well. Side note here, so the Victorians really had no idea what they were doing. As you can tell, they would give extremely strong drugs to children and just think it was perfectly okay. This whole era was kind of run like that, and it led to a lot of issues. Now, the Victorians knew this coke stuff was hot. They didn't just put it in medicines or use it for medicinal purposes. No. They put it in their wine. They put it in their sodas. I'm looking at you, Coke. They put it in almost everything because it made you feel good. Why wouldn't you? It could be because all the side effects suck. It can cause increased irritability, paranoia, panic attacks, convulsions, even full-blown psychosis. Long-term use can cause auditory hallucinations and even permanent psychological effects. Being a mother in Victorian era was extremely hard, so to make it easier, they had Miss Winslow's soothing syrup. If you had a teething or crying baby, you would just give them a little bit of this, and they'd go right to sleep because it was morphine. And now this was a big issue because obviously you don't give drugs to kids or anything, so overdosing and there's no correct dose. The way they gave it to kids made it extremely risky, possibly causing a lot of deaths. Now obviously the drug use was very out of hand in the Victorian era, and there were quite a few opium dens and other things like that for abusing drugs specifically. It became such an issue they actually tried to get a handle on it and said that only registered chemists could be the ones to sell it. Now before that you could literally just buy it on the street or at your local market. There's no, back alley dealings or calling up some sketchy drug dealer. It was just go down to your favorite supermarket and pick it up. Okay, another side note here. Literally, Victorian England was just a straight death trap. I mean, there was lead in paint, asbestos in everything. There was boric acid in milk and carbolic acid poisoning from soap. That's not even half the things I can go through. The plastic back then was so dangerously flammable, it could self-ignite and explode on impact. Yeah. Now don't worry, all these drugs weren't to get high. They had some for beauty as well. And if you cared about your beauty, you would be getting arsenic complexion wafers, which would actually make it harder to produce red blood cells, kind of like a dead person. And then you would get this sweet, pale look all over your body, just like the rich people who stayed inside all day. And don't worry, there wasn't just poison medicine for women. Everybody had a chance to get their hands on it. Now if you happen to scrape your knee, get a slight cut, hell, you're even feeling a little bit irregular, just get some mercury, rub it on that wound, or stick it right up there, and you'll be regular right again soon.
Side effects may include chest pains, heart and lung problems, coughing, tremors, violent muscle spasms, psychotic reactions, delirium, hallucinations, and suicidal tendencies.
They have all these things for women and children. As a male, I'm feeling pretty left out. But don't worry, there's a one-stop cure-all for us. Dr. Sandin's electric belt for weak men. Now apparently the term weak men covers everything from ED, laying back, kidney problems, sleeplessness, nervousness, memory loss, and general ill health. So I guess the idea behind it was shock you until either delirium sets in or you just admit that you're cured. Now all the drugs, poisons, and satanistic torture just isn't doing it for you. But we've got one more, don't worry. Radium. It was in just about everything. They put it in toothpaste, tobacco, soap, condoms, and it was obviously radioactive. They thought the glowing energy meant to give you power and made you strong. That's not at all what it meant. Now this was probably the worst one of all. Your body actually mistakes radium for calcium, so it deposits it in your bones and it stays there forever. Now this would cause people to lose teeth and they would just fall out. One man actually drank so much Radithor he had 3 glasses a day and his jaw ended up falling off. This had extremely bad effects for you, and it would definitely end up killing you. Glowing water, electric belts, complexion wafers, those sound like they cost a pretty penny. But don't worry, we have an at-home, completely free cure-all. Urine therapy. Promotes everything from good health, healthy skin, and hell, you can even give yourself a urine enema. Now these were some things that were commonly done back in the day, but there's actually no scientific link to any health benefits. Side note, this time I actually have a question for you. If you lived back in the Victorian era, how long do you think you would last? Put your answers in the comments down below. Thanks for joining us on this slightly disturbing episode of Fun Facts. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you want to request one, go ahead and drop it in the comments down below. We'll see you on the next one.